definitions list, by the way, was something like, I don't know, what is it, about 3 dozen, 2 dozen, something like that. It's now over 500 terms. So that's how fast they're developing this technology.
Yes, your newsletter is very, very thorough, very, very well written. I thank you for sending that to me, and it's really, everyone out there, it's really worth investigating. He has a lot of information, so contact him right away and get Fatal Rebirth and his other books. Very informative. I would like to have you on again at some point to discuss 9/11, because I do believe that this is all part of what's happening, as you do. But I'd like to look over your book, Fatal Rebirth, before I do that, if that's all right with you.
Surely. I'll send you the e-set.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. Before we end, what advice do you have? What are your final words to people not only in America but worldwide? What would you want them to know about what's happening in the New World Order, how to protect yourself and what they can do? What would you want them to know?
Well, the first thing, of course, is to get the warning out, and that's kind of what Fatal Rebirth is attempting to do. It itself also has the message about what you can do, and the simplest answer is don't let them get away with it. You basically, you learn their traits and their methods, and then you confront them every time they're demonstrated. It's very simple. That they don't like to be illuminated. Things that are done in the dark, things that are dark and evil, don't like to be, have light shed upon them. And you can do that so easy just by asking questions and demanding answers. You can do it even as just a single individual with a well-written letter to somebody else who is maybe a little more powerful than you are, and get them to get a sense that this is a question that needs to be asked. If enough people do that, then they in turn will actually ask that question on your behalf. So it's a two-edged or two-pronged approach. Do what you can do, and then encourage others to do what they can do. And that includes educating everybody else around you. So if you get a copy of my book, hand it off to somebody else. Incidentally, if you order the CD-ROM version of my books, basically ebooks on CD-ROM instead of being sent by email, I have a little provision in there that anybody who has the CD-ROM collection of Fatal Rebirth, in the event that something mysterious happens to me, or I'm put out of business, forced into bankruptcy, there's any number of ways that they can deal with somebody like me, or maybe just mysteriously vanish, or have a little problem with law enforcement, the usual. Anything like that happens, I'm releasing my copyright, and anybody who has the CD-ROM version can freely distribute that. I want the entire world to have a copy of it within 72 hours of such an event. And I think that is the one thing that keeps me alive.
Right. Well, H. Michael Sweeney, I'd like to thank you for coming on. You're brilliant, very informative, and the EDGE listeners and the targets will just love hearing your interview and what you have to say, and it's so helpful. So I thank you so much.
I very much appreciate you having me on today, Gina.
And I will... Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
I'm always glad to talk to you again.
Oh, yes. I definitely want to look at that Fatal Rebirth and have you come back. I think the listeners would love that. So thank you again, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I wonder how many of us realize just how small our planet really is and understand the fact that it resides in a universe of uncomprehending size. We walk about this earth with a personal air of grandeur and ego, thinking our intimate universe is so importantly big that nothing else really matters. We are cocooned on this minuscule speck of stardust, yet we like to assume we have all the answers to creation and the spirit that powers its engine. I don't think any of us can claim to be this wise, including the most open-minded free thinker. In fact, I will go as far as to say our collective knowledge is akin to the smallest nanoparticle on the smallest microbe when compared to the vastness of space. The majority of Earth's inhabitants find it difficult to think on global terms. The destruction of its ecosystems and mass starvation of people is testament to that. The majority of us are what I would call local thinkers, those with a limited perspective, the bigots, the racist, and the fundamentalists. Even global thinkers, compared to the unknown knowledge of the infinite heavens, have a limited perspective, especially when one considers the persecution and pain attributed to global armed conflicts. Looking at the continued destruction of our environment, the continued almost narcotic need for armed conflict, I feel we can't even begin to fathom the true spirit of creation unless we rise above limited local thinking, limited global thinking, and possibly understand a concept of limited galaxy thinking. Maybe then we will have more understanding of just how little we are. Hopefully one day, in the distant future, the human race will attain the ultimate goal of boundless universe thinking. Perhaps by this time we'll have all the answers to creation and the spirit that powers its engine. I hope so. I like to think we have it in us somewhere. We stand upon a gorgeous, most precious globe, abundant in flora and fauna, billions of different species, all individual, all unique, down to the last microbe. A beautiful, most fragile humanity, abundant in experience and knowledge, thousands of differing races, all individual, down to the last person. Nowhere in our galaxy do we have a jewel where such singular and individual vibrancy exists. It is a masterpiece of physical creation, the most priceless and most intricate works of art we have ever known, created as a physical manifestation of paradise. Yet all of this is like a speck of dust within the infinite universe, so fragile, so easily damaged and swept away. Perhaps if we truly learn to love this planet instead of accepting its destruction, we might spiritually progress forward and not backward. If we can learn to respect and cherish creation, then one shows gratitude towards whoever created it.
Welcome back, I'm Andy Radford and this is the Edge Thursday show coming to you from the Edge's UK studio. Don't forget you can download the full podcast of this show now. Just go to the edgeam.com/podcast.htm. That's the edgeam.com/podcast.htm. That about wraps up the Thursday show for this week, and I would like to thank Edge correspondent Gina Romano and her guest, H. Michael Sweeney. Don't forget to tune in to Daniel Ott's live show this Saturday night, the 10th of May 2008. This starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Andy Radford, your host for the Edge's Thursday show, coming to you from the Edge's UK studio. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Goodbye.
You have been listening to The Edge. To subscribe to The Edge newsletter, log on to theedgeam.com. That's theedgeam.com, where you can find out more about the guests and topics discussed on the air. The Edge is being brought to you by Internet Solutions, home of affordable website design and low-cost Internet access. Visit Internet Solutions at es4.com. That's es4.com. Until next week, for the Edge Radio broadcast, I'm Chris Moore. See you on the Edge.